Hi, everyone. My name is Jen. Thank you for joining me on your mat today. Before we get started, if you have two foam blocks handy and maybe a blanket, something like this to sit up on, that would be great. If not, you could grab perhaps a beach towel, some pillows, or maybe even a couple of books. So I'll go ahead and give you a minute to grab those things. And then when you're ready, we're going to just lower ourselves down onto our backs. So you can just plant your feet on the mat, hands next to the hips, and just slowly lower yourself all the way down. And I'll invite you to bring the soles of your feet together. Let the knees fall open wide, perhaps using those blocks, the blanket or the pillow as a little support underneath the knees or the thighs. Softly closing the eyes. Bring your right hand to the belly, left hand to the heart. And just begin bringing your awareness to your breath. And just noticing the natural pattern of your breathing, not trying to make any changes here. Noticing the natural rise and fall of the belly and the chest as you breathe in and breathe out. Allowing the tension to begin to melt away, breathing into those spots where perhaps we're holding on tightly, softening the space between the eyebrows, softening the cheeks and the jaws. Letting the shoulders rest heavy into the mat. Feeling the legs relax. We'll begin to feel the breath getting deeper and longer. On the inhale, feeling the belly, ribs, and then the chest. Taking a pause. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. On the inhale, filling first the belly, ribs, chest. Pausing for a moment. Exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. Continuing on with your own breath, seeing if we can have equal length in our inhale and exhale, noticing the little pause in between the breath in and the breath out. I'd like to share these words with you from John O'Donohue. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the place you did not think possible and see what shimmers within the storm. My invitation to you today is to use this time on your mat as an opportunity to find that quiet space. Bringing awareness to your breath, your movement, the sensation in your body, and allowing the mind to find some peace and some stillness. We'll begin to find some movement here. So if we're using some props beneath the knees or the thighs, we'll gently slide those out of the way. We'll hug both knees in towards the chest, giving them a little squeeze. Maybe rocking gently from side to side, massaging the spine. Releasing both feet to the floor. We'll hug the right knee in close to the body. Giving it a gentle tug, bringing the knee back towards the armpit. And we'll begin taking some gentle circles here. Moving in one direction. And then the other. Let's extend the leg long, reaching the foot towards the ceiling. Perhaps we'll point and flex, point and flex. One more time, we'll point the toes, flex the foot. Interlace the hands behind the thigh. And we'll begin to bring the belly and chest towards the thighs as we lift the shoulders and head off the mat. Take an inhale, and on an exhale, we'll lower back down. Placing the hands down by the side. Take a breath in, and we'll slowly lower the foot all the way back down to the mat. Bending back into the right knee, we'll give that left knee a little tug in close to the body. Bringing the knee back towards the armpit and taking those circles on this side. First in one direction, and then reversing and moving the knee in the other direction. We'll extend the leg long, foot's moving towards the ceiling. Pointing and flexing into the toe. Point and flex. Point the toes, flex the foot. And one more time, we point and flex. We'll interlace the hands behind the thigh. Begin to move the belly and chest up towards the thighs. We bring the shoulders and head off the mat. Take an inhale, and on an exhale, we'll lower ourselves back down. Releasing the hands to the earth. Taking a breath in, slowly releasing the foot all the way back down to the mat. Let's bend into that left knee. Give the knees a little hug, a little rocking from side to side. Bring the chin to the chest, the forehead to the knees. Begin rolling, bringing ourselves up into a seated position. Okay. So let's take an inhale. We'll sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, we'll float the fingers to the earth. Inhale, we'll sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, we'll float the fingers to the earth. And one more time on an inhale, we sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, we gently float the fingers down. Let's place the palms on the knees. Let's bring the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Coming back through center. The left ear towards the left shoulder. Back through center. Be tilting the head back, just bringing the gaze to where the wall and the ceiling meet. And gently tucking the chin in towards the chest. Come back through center. Let's lift those shoulders up towards the ears. Press them back towards the wall behind us. Let the shoulders slide down the back. Let's lift them up. Press them back, letting the shoulders slide down the back. And one more time, we'll lift the shoulders up. Press them back, sliding them down the back. And we'll reverse that, lifting the shoulders towards the ear, pressing them forward, sliding them down the front of the body. Lifting them up, pressing them forward, sliding down the front of the body. And one more time. We lift the shoulders up, rolling them forward, sliding down. Let's bring the hands, elbows, forearms together. Let's really press those elbows up towards the ceiling, forearms towards the front of the room. Feeling a nice stretch along the shoulder blades. We can stay right here, or if you have the space in your shoulders today, we'll wind the right bicep underneath the left. Palms come together. Whether we've taken the bind or not, we continue to press the elbows up towards the ceiling, the forearms towards the front of the room. And if we've taken the bind, let's unwind and wrap the left bicep underneath the right. Continuing to press those elbows up and the forearms forward. We'll unwind, sweeping the arms up and overhead, hands together in front of the heart. Let's interlace the fingers, pressing the palms forward, lifting them up and overhead, pressing towards the ceiling. Releasing the fingertips to the earth. Inhale, we sweep the arms up and overhead. We'll interlace the fingers, releasing the index fingers towards the ceiling. Reaching out, feeling some length in the spine. Keeping both sits bones grounded on the left. Hinge over towards the right. And that right shoulder rolling under, left shoulder pressing back. Come back to the center. Reaching towards the ceiling. Feeling that length. Hinging over towards the left. The left shoulder's rolling under, right shoulder's rolling back. Come back through center. Release the hands to the knees. We'll slide any props that we have out of the way. Come on to our hands and our knees. Big toes together, knees open wide. Sink back into child's pose. To our child's pose. Let the hips rest heavily. Taking a few breaths here. We'll press ourselves up just enough so that we can slide the feet back and lower ourselves down onto our bellies. Let's plant the hands on the mat. The fingertips will be spread to a comfortable distance. Elbows are directly underneath the shoulders. And let's really feel all 10 toes pressing into the mat. The legs are engaged. The belly is engaged, the navel's pulling towards the spine. We'll begin to lift the sternum forward and up, bringing our gaze up towards where the ceiling and the wall meet, coming into our Sphinx pose. Maybe we'll take a slight tuck of the chin, turning the head and looking over the right shoulder. Coming back through center. We'll turn the head looking over the left shoulder. Coming back through center. Cross the arms, making a little pillow for the head. Releasing the forehead. Let's take a bend in the knee. And gently we'll take a few windshield wiper motions with the feet. So we'll rock the feet over to the right. And then over to the left. Coming back through center, dropping them over to the right and over to the left. Bringing the feet back through the center. We'll release them back down to the mat. Let's press ourselves up into a tabletop. So your wrists will be planted underneath the shoulders. Knees about hip width distance apart. Taking out any sway in that lower back, so pulling the navel to the spine and puffing up the space between the shoulder blades just a little bit. We'll wake up the spine here, taking a few rounds of our cat-cow. So on an inhale, the sits bones will lift, the belly drops, the heart glides forward. On an exhale, we'll tuck the tailbone round into the spine, chin to the chest. On an inhale, the sits bones lift, belly drops, heart glides forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone round into the spine, chin to the chest. Take 3 more rounds of this with your own breath, then we'll settle into child's pose. After you finish your third and final round, we'll bring the big toes together and the knees open wide. Hips back towards the heels. We'll press ourselves back up into our tabletop. Checking to see that those wrists are underneath the shoulders and the knees are hip-width distance apart. We're taking out any sway in that lower back, navel's pulling to the spine. Let's extend the right leg back behind us, toes on the mat, pressing out through the heel. We'll just begin to take some gentle rocking motion. So we're going to press back through the heel, forward onto the toes, pressing back through the heel, forward onto the toes, and one more time, pressing back through the heel, forward onto the toes. Let's lift that heel up towards hip height, dropping the outer right hip, inner thigh lifts, the toes are pointed down and slightly in. Let's extend the left arm forward, bicep in line with the ear, pinky finger down, thumb up. Remembering to drop that outer right hip. Take an inhale. And on an exhale, one time, we'll bring the elbow and knee together underneath the body. Extending the elbow and knee back long. We'll release the hand to the mat. Release the toes to the earth. We'll drop the right heel to the mat. Inner edge of the foot to the mat as we sweep the right arm up, palm face forward. Coming into our supported version of Vajrasthana. Let's release the hand to the mat, bringing the knees together. The knees are hip-width distance apart, and the wrists are underneath the shoulders. We'll extend that left leg back behind, toes on the mat, pressing out through the heel. That outer hip drops, inner thigh lifts, and we'll begin that gentle rocking, pressing out through the heel, rocking up onto the toes. Out through the heel, and rocking up onto the toes. And one more time, we press out through the heel, rocking up onto the toes. Let's extend the heel up towards hip height, dropping that outer hip, inner thigh lifts, and the toes are pointed down and slightly in. Extending the right arm forward, bicep in line with the ear. And one time we'll bring the elbow and knee together underneath the body. Extending them long. We'll release the hand to the mat and the toes to the earth. The inner edge of the foot releases to the mat as we sweep the left arm up, palm face forward. We'll release the hand back to the earth, the knee to the mat. This time let's keep our knees together, sinking the hips back towards the heels, releasing the belly and chest onto the thighs, bringing the hands back beside the feet. We'll bring the hands forward, coming back onto our hands and knees. Tucking the toes, lifting the knees off the mat. We'll bring the hips up and back, coming into our downward dog. The fingertips will be spread to a comfortable distance, really pressing down into the mat, spinning the inner elbows in towards one another as the belly and chest moves back towards the thighs. We can begin to take some motion here, walking the dog, bending into one knee and then the other. One knee and then the other. We'll find some stillness and we'll lift the right leg straight back behind, coming into our three-legged dog. The toes are pointed down and slightly in. And we'll take a bend into the knee, heel to the seat, knee to the sky, opening up into our fire hydrant pose. Taking any motion here that feels good, maybe rotating that hip around. Straighten back into the leg, releasing it back down to the mat. Let's extend that left leg straight back behind. The toes are pointed down and slightly in. Maybe we take a bend in the knee, heel to the seat, knee to the sky, and taking some motion on this side. We'll straighten back into the leg, releasing the toes to the earth. And slowly we'll walk the hands back to meet the feet. So we're hanging at the back of our mat. And one vertebrae at a time, we'll slowly roll all the way up to standing. Sweeping the hands up over the head, bringing them together in front of the heart. On an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, we'll fold. On an inhale, we'll come halfway up. Exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, we sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's bring those hands back behind on the sacrum. Pinky fingers are moving in towards one another. The elbows are pressing in. The shoulders are moving away from the ears. We're grounding down through all four corners of the feet. The legs are engaged. The belly is strong. The navel's pulling towards the spine. We begin to lift the sternum forward and up as we press the hip points forward, taking a nice, gentle standing back bend. Bringing the hands to the hips. Bring the heart back over the hips. Let's find a point of focus somewhere in front of you in the room that isn't going to move and bring your attention there. Again, feeling those feet grounding into the earth and the legs are strong. Belly is engaged. We're going to feel the weight in the left foot and come up onto the tiptoes of the right. And let's just rotate that right knee open towards the right, and we'll bring the heel in towards the ankle. We really want to feel that right knee pressing back and the left hip pressing back so the hips are nice and square. And you can stay right here, or perhaps you're feeling the balance today to bring the sole of the foot to the calf. Or maybe we use the hand and guide it to the inner thigh. Wherever we are, we're pressing the foot into the leg into the foot. And the knee is pressing back towards the wall behind us. And the hips are square towards the front of the room. We can stay right here, or we can sweep the arms up and overhead. Maybe even taking a little cactus shape if that feels good for you today. If we fall out, we just try again. Release the hands to the hips, the foot to the floor. Let's bring those hands together in front of the heart. Close the eyes for a moment. Give the legs a little shake. Bring our attention back to our breath. We'll softly open the eyes and bring our attention back to the drishti, that place in front of us that isn't going to move. As we bring the weight into the right foot, come up onto the tiptoes of the left. Let's open up that left knee towards the left as we bring the heel towards the ankle. Really feeling that left knee pressing open as the right hip is moving back. And we can stay right here, or once again, perhaps we bring the sole of the foot to the calf, maybe even guiding the foot to the inner thigh. Really pressing the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. And we can stay right here. We sweep the arms up and overhead. Maybe finding that cactus shape. We'll bring the hands to the hips. Lower the foot back to the floor. Let's take a deep bend in the knees, bringing the fingertips to the earth. Releasing the crown of the head towards the earth as we straighten into the legs. Belly and chest moving back towards the thigh. Softening the shoulders, letting the head hang heavy. And from here, take a soft bend in the knees, roll all the way back up to standing. Sweeping those arms together. Overhead, hands together in front of the heart. Let's take a few steps forward so that we're in the middle of our mat. And if you have blocks or books, you might want to bring those to the top of your mat right now. You may want to use those in just a moment. So we're going to come to standing in the center of the mat. The feet are hip width distance apart. And those legs are engaged. As always, the belly is strong, navel pulling to the spine. And the shoulder blades are together and down the back, so we're not scrunching them up by our ears. Bring the hands to the hips. Let's take a giant step back with that right foot. We're going to land on the ball of the foot. We'll take a deep bend into the front knee. You just want to take a peek to make sure that the knee hasn't gone past the ankle. And if it has, we'll just slide the back foot back just a little bit. And we want to feel that right femur pulling back into the hip socket as the left hip presses gently forward, squaring the hips towards the front of your mat. And you can stay right here with the hands on the hips, or perhaps we sweep the arms up and overhead. Then we'll sweep the left arm back, right arm forward, taking a little open arm twist. Both arms sweep forward, releasing the hands back towards the hips. We're going to straighten into the front leg and bump that back foot up, releasing the heel to the mat. So both legs are going to be straight. Feet are facing forward, kind of like your feet are on little train tracks. Go ahead and widen the stance a little bit if you need to get your hips square to the front of the room. So we want to feel that right hip pulling back, the left hip pressing forward. And maybe just shorten your stance just a little bit, moving this foot up forward. And we'll begin to hinge forward, bringing the belly and chest down towards the thighs. Releasing the hands to the blocks or the earth. Letting the crown of the head move towards the mat. Feeling that left hip move back, right hip moving down and forward slightly. And with softness in the knee, we'll roll back up to standing, walking yourselves up the leg if you need a little support. Bring the hands to the hips. We'll step the back foot up to meet the front. Let's just walk our feet as wide as our mat. Begin to hinge forward. Perhaps grabbing opposite elbows, taking a gentle sway from side to side. All right, we'll release the fingertips towards the earth, soften into the knees, and begin that slow roll all the way back up. Sweeping the arms together, and then bringing the hands together in front of the heart. Let's step those feet back to hip width distance apart. Bring the hands to the hips. We'll take that giant step back with the left foot, landing on the ball of the foot. Taking a deep bend into the front knee and just checking to see that the knee hasn't moved past the ankle. And really pressing the back of the left knee up towards the sky. Feeling the left femur pulling back in towards the hip socket. The hands can stay on the hips or we sweep them up. Right arm back, left arm forward. We'll sweep the hands back towards the front, releasing the hands to the hips. We'll straighten into the front knee and bump that back foot up so that the feet are about 2 to 3 feet apart. And we want our hips to be square to the front of your mat. So that right hip will pull back, the left hip will pull forward. Then we'll begin to hinge forward. And when the torso is parallel to the mat, we'll begin to release the fingers to the blocks or to the earth. Moving the belly and chest towards the thigh. And the forehead releases towards the ankle. Keeping some softness in the knee. Using the leg as support, we can begin to walk ourselves all the way back up to standing. Stepping the back foot up to meet the front. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. Give those legs a little jiggle. And let's bring the hands to the hips, and we'll turn to face the side of your mat and walk the feet out wide. The toes will be pointed out and the heels pointed in. Get a nice wide stance here. Begin to take a deep bend into the knees, sinking the hips low, coming into our goddess pose. You can keep the hands right here on the hips, or perhaps we bring them together in front of the heart. We'll straighten into the legs. Stepping the feet together, coming back to standing at the top of our mat. So let's have those blocks or those books handy. Just set them up outside of the ankles, and then we'll just take a few steps back. Let's feel the feet firmly planted, all 4 corners of the feet. The legs are strong, the belly is engaged, and those shoulder blades are together and down the back. Let's bring the hands to the hips. We'll begin to hinge forward. When the torso is parallel with the mat, We'll release the hands to the blocks. Then we'll just walk those blocks back so that the wrists are underneath the shoulders. And we're going to feel the weight into the left foot, really grounding down through all four corners of the foot, getting light on the right toes. Then we'll slide that right foot up and back. The toes are down and slightly in. And we can stay right here, or perhaps we float the right hand to the heart. Maybe we float both hands to the heart. We'll release our hands to the blocks, releasing the toes back to the earth. Letting the head hang heavy for a moment, shaking the legs. Taking a bend into the knees, we'll roll all the way back up to standing. Sweeping those arms up overhead. Be taking a gentle back bend here. Hands together in front of the heart. We'll bring our hands to the hips. We're going to try that on the other side. So let's feel those legs engaged, navel pulling to the spine. We'll begin to hinge forward. Releasing the hands to the block. And we'll walk them back so that the wrists are underneath the shoulders. And we're going to feel the weight in the right foot, getting light in the left toes. And then we'll slide the foot up and back. All right, so those toes are going to be down and slightly in. The outer hips dropping, inner thighs lifting, squaring those hips. And we can stay right here with the support of the blocks, or maybe we float the hands up towards the heart space. We'll release the hands back to the blocks and the toes back to the earth. With softness in the knees, we'll begin that slow rise all the way back up to standing. Floating the hands. Bringing them in front of the heart, eyes softly close. Bring our awareness to our breath here. Maybe noticing that little pause between the inhale and the exhale. And we'll gently open the eyes, bringing the hands to the hips. Let's take a deep bend in the knees, bringing the fingertips towards the earth, sinking the hips low as if we're sitting back in a chair. And then we'll sweep the arms forward. Biceps moving up towards in line with the ear. Softening the shoulder blades down the back. That belly is strong and engaged. Navel's pulling towards the spine. Maybe we sink the hips just a little bit lower. And bring the hands to the hips. Straightening into the legs. On an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, we'll fold forward, bringing the fingertips to the earth. And we'll take our time walking our hands forward and our feet back, coming into our downward dog. And from here, we'll lower the knees to the mat. The wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Step the right foot back, toes on the earth. That outer hip drops, inner thigh lifts. And then we're going to step the left foot back to meet the right, coming into our plank. Really pushing the earth away. Back is nice and flat. Pressing back through the heels. We'll lower the knees down to the mat. Bring the hips back towards the heels. We're going to stay right here with our sitting back on our heels, but if that's not comfortable for your knees, feel free to take a comfortable seat, the legs crossed. We're going to bring the right hand back behind, planting it on the sacrum, lifting the left arm up towards the ceiling, reaching, finding some length in the spine. We're going to twist open towards the right. When the torso stops moving, we'll release the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Sitting up nice and tall. Taking an inhale, maybe on an exhale, we twist open just a little bit more. We'll come back through center. Plant the left hand behind the body on the sacrum. The right arm's going to reach up towards the ceiling, finding some nice length. We'll twist open towards the left. And then we'll release the hand to the outside of the knee. Keeping the nice length in the spine. Take an inhale, and on an exhale, we twist a little deeper. We'll come back through center. Let's just release the hips to the floor as we sweep the legs around in front of us. Scooch ourselves up towards the center of the mat. We'll plant both feet on the floor, feeling the spine nice and long and the belly engaged. And slowly and with control, we'll lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. Let's give those legs a little hug, bringing them in close to the body, wrapping the arms around the shins. Maybe the chin to the chest, the forehead to the knees, giving yourself a little squeeze here. Lowering ourselves back down. Let's release the hands down by the sides, palms face down. Extend the legs long towards the ceiling. The feet are flexed and really pressing up towards the ceiling, kind of like you're trying to stand on the ceiling. And the hands can stay planted by the earth, or on the earth, or we can put them underneath the hips for a little bit of support. We'll take an inhale, and on an exhale, we'll lower both feet down to the mat. Taking your time to get there. Let's bend into the knees, planting the feet on the floor. We'll cross the right ankle over the left knee. And the foot is going to be flexed. The knee will be pressing towards the wall in front of you. And we can stay right here. We can interlace the hands behind the thigh. Maybe bringing that left foot off the floor. Both feet are flexed. And we can stay right here with the knee bent, or we can straighten into the left knee, pressing the foot towards the ceiling. That right knee keeps pressing forward towards the front of the room. Take a bend in the left knee, release the foot back to the floor. Let's cross that right knee over the left. And we'll lift and shift the hips over towards the right. Letting the knees drop over towards the left. Those arms can come out to a cactus or a T shape. Head turns towards the right. Eyes close. Unwinding, we'll plant both feet back on the mat. Let's cross the left ankle over the right knee. The left knee pressing forward towards the front of the room. We'll interlace the hands behind the thigh. Bringing that right foot off the floor, both feet are flexed. We can keep the knee bent, or maybe we lift the foot towards the ceiling, straightening into the leg. We'll bend into the knee, releasing the foot to the floor. We'll cross that left knee over the right. We'll lift and shift the hips over towards the left. The arms can come out to a T or a cactus shape. Both knees will drop over towards the right. Head turns, eyes close. We'll gently unwind, planting both feet back into the floor. We'll extend the legs long towards the front of the mat. Arms extend straight back behind. Taking a nice full body stretch here. Maybe a little rocking from side to side. A little wiggling of the fingers and the toes. A little rolling of the ankles and the wrists. And then we're going to walk both feet and both hands over towards the right, coming into a little banana shape. And a nice little lateral stretch here. We'll cross the left ankle over the right, breathing into the side body. Uncross the ankle. And we'll walk the hands and the feet over towards the left, reversing that shape. Crossing the right ankle over the left. Breathing into the right side of the body. We'll come back through center. Bringing our feet about hip width distance apart. Lowering our arms down by our sides, palms face down. We'll begin to bring our awareness to our breath. Feeling the mat supporting the back body. The shoulders are relaxed. The hips and the legs are resting, sinking into the mat. The eyes are softly closed. As we take Shavasana. Let's notice where our attention is drifted. Gently bring it back to the room, to this space. Begin to find a little motion here, a little wiggling of the toes and the fingers, a little rolling of the ankles and the wrists. Beginning to stretch and move in a way that feels good to you. When you're ready, we'll gently roll over onto the right side, coming into a fetal position. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the place you did not think possible and see what shimmers within the storm. Gently using your hands as support, press ourselves up into a seated position. Gently closing the eyes, bringing the hands together in front of the heart. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. Namaste.